having a good time when he decided to make a bet with them. He told them that he could run without stopping all the way to Coventry, which was a full 16 miles away. His friends did not believe he could do this. They were all like, there's no way you can run all that way. But they decided to take him up on his bet, so they let him run 16 miles, and all of the friends got into a horse-drawn carriage to go behind him. Warson ran for a few miles without any problems, and his friends were starting to think that they might actually lose the bet. But then he tripped on something on the road. The story goes that Warson fell forward but never hit the ground. Instead, he completely vanished out of existence right before his friends' eyes. A police search turned up nothing, and this seems to be another case of someone who just spontaneously ceased to exist in full view of eyewitnesses. Imagine being those friends in that moment. You have your friend just like running in front of you, suddenly he goes to trip, and then as he's falling, he just disappears. Now we're going to talk about one of a more recent case. When I say recent, I mean 1959, but it's a lot more recent than the 1700s. In April of 1959, a man named Bruce Campbell was driving by car with his wife to go visit their son who lived really far away. At one point on their long journey, they decided to take a break and go and sleep at a hotel. It was a motel in Jacksonville, Illinois. The couple was exhausted from driving all day, so they promptly retired for the night. But when Mrs. Campbell woke up in the morning and looked beside her, her husband had completely vanished from the bed. At first, she wasn't very concerned because she thought, oh, maybe he just got up early in the morning and went somewhere to get coffee or whatever. But what was really strange was that her husband's clothes were just lying in the spot where he was sleeping, and he had gone. His suitcases were still in the room. Everything just seemed very eerie. Additionally, all of his personal belongings and even his wallet with all of his money were still precisely where he had left them. So if he had gone out to get breakfast or coffee, you'd think he would have brought his wallet or something. Even after an investigation by authorities, Bruce Campbell was never found. That's just so creepy to me. I'm just imagining like going to a hotel with Ty and waking up and he's not there, but his clothes are there and all of his stuff's there. Like, that's just like, that's my worst fear. There's another very similar case involving a couple that happened in 1975. It was when Jackson and Martha Wright were driving from New Jersey to New York City. The two were driving through the Lincoln Tunnel when they noticed that there was a large amount of condensation on their windows. And so much was piling up on their windows that they could barely see at all when they were driving. So Jackson decided to pull over to the side of the road so they could begin wiping off all of the fog on their windows. It was at this point that Jackson says he turned to see how his wife was doing and found that she was completely gone. In fact, the woman was nowhere to be seen, even though she had been there just moments before. And Jackson was saying that he didn't hear or see anything unusual. There was...
Hello, let me introduce you to the Sinclair DinoPay app so you can save 10 cents per gallon. It's easy.
There was actually no cars around, no one was around, he didn't hear her scream or jump. She was literally there, he turned and looked back and she was gone. It would have been impossible for her to get very far in such a brief amount of time. And yes, this does sound very suspicious on Jackson's part when he went to the police to talk about this, but the police investigated this for such a long time and found nothing. So Martha Wright's disappearance still remains a mystery to this day, just like all of these other cases. And the last case we're going to talk about today is actually one from 2007. So this is the most recent missing person case I think I've ever done in this series. I try and really keep it before the 2000s just because I want to stay respectful to families and I don't want to ever talk about something too new that could still be in the works. So I like more like historical cases, but today, because it relates to this video, we're going to talk about one that happened in 2007. So this happened on July 8th, 2007, and it's about someone who seemed to have just stepped off the face of the earth. 55-year-old Barbara Bollock was out on a hiking trip with her friend Jim Ramaker. They were in Montana's Bitterroot Mountains. They weren't walking right beside each other, but she was only about 6 feet behind him. At one point along their scenic hike, Jim claimed that he stopped to admire the scenery, and when he turned to look behind him after a mere minute, Barbara was nowhere to be seen. And it's so weird because you can hear her footsteps walking behind him just as normal, so while he was looking at the scenery, he could still hear her behind find him, but all of a sudden after a mere few seconds, he stopped hearing her walk and he looked around and she was gone. No screaming, no sign of her running away, literally just not there anymore. So as usual, the police did a complete search of the area, and they also found no reason to suspect that Jim had done anything to her, and no leads on this case have ever been found. They also didn't find any evidence that she had been there, like her shoes, clothing, nothing was around. They couldn't find anything. I just find all of these cases to be so strange and bizarre. It'd be really interesting to like talk about cases next time maybe where the person actually shows up years later, because I have come across a lot of those, and those probably creep me out even more when people return and either have no idea what happened to them or they have really strange stories. So if you guys want me to talk about cases like those, definitely let me know, but there are so many things I can discuss with you guys. So I hope you are enjoying this series, and I hope you have an awesome rest of your day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!